It's easy to look at the people in the Bible and judge them for doing the wrong things. We must remember they were people just like us. They may not have started out sinning against God, but ended up that way from not listening to what He asked them to do. We need to look deep in our hearts, because there are times we miss the mark too. We may start out doing something for God, but end up way off the path He wants us to be traveling. When we truly examine our lives, we may be surprised at what we find. Marcus and Tricia ask you to join in the conversation about how little steps can lead to big problems. By the way, it's Burger King, not McDonald's.
Well, hello everybody, this is Marcus.
And Tricia.
And we are...
The Messengers.
Ministry! Yeah. Kind of wanted to match what you were doing. So we're excited because we have another audio teaching for you today.
We do.
And today we're going to be looking into the book of Jonah.
Yes.
All right, so today's episode is called...
Running from God.
All right, so you guys know who Jonah was, right? He was a prophet who seemed very selfish.
Yeah.
But God asked him to give a warning to his worst enemy. But he didn't want to do it, right?
That seems strange.
So on the surface, though, it seemed that Jonah would be excited to tell his nemesis that they were going to die by the hand of God, right? However, Jonah knew that God was so gracious and compassionate, right? He was slow to anger and abounding in love. And he is a God who relents from sending calamity. And you can find that in like Jonah 4, verse 2.
Yeah. So when Jonah heard this word from the Lord, he ran in the opposite direction. He did not want to be part of anything good happening to Nineveh, which was the capital of the Assyrians. They were terrible people who had plagued Israel for centuries.
Centuries.
How could God ask such a thing of a devout Jew?
That's right.
That's how he felt.
That's how he felt, right. So through many trials, including being swallowed by a large fish.
Wow.
Jonah, he finally relented and agreed to do what God asked. Now the Ninevites, guess what they did? They repented.
Yeah.
And God had compassion on them. Now Jonah, he was angry and he was just sulking, man.
He was.
He knew that God was gracious and that he didn't want anything good to happen to his rival.
That's right. Wow. That's really some hatred there.
Yeah.
But in the end of the book, as Jonah was sulking and wanting to die, a little...
melodramatic?
Yes. God asked him why he was so upset. God reminded him that he didn't want anyone to be lost. He planned salvation for everyone.
Even back then, and so as it is today, right?
That's
God,
right.
God never changes. He's the same yesterday, today, and forever.
He loves all his people.
He absolutely does.
He doesn't want to lose any of them.
Right.
He knows that he will, but that doesn't stop him from loving them.
Absolutely. So the small book of Jonah can be a lesson to each one of us. It seems as if we can look back and say, man, that was crazy for Jonah to run away from God.
Yeah.
It's easy to think that we would never do that if we were in that position, right?
Right.
But is it really true, though?
Ooh, you have this.
I'm laughing because I know I've done this.
Yes. So we must stop and really search our lives to see if we have done the same thing. How many times do we not listen to God? When He asks us to do something hard, do we answer right away or try to keep doing what we want? Like if He asks us to give up a great job and just follow Him, do we do that?
Whoa. Whoa. Right.
Sometimes we try to reason with God. We might say like, surely He doesn't mean that. We could say, God, you have me here for a reason. I can't give up my finances and extravagant living for something that might not turn out. Now, those are not words to say to God.
Right. Absolutely. And sometimes, we might just ignore God's leading.
Yeah.
He may try to get us to a place where we can simply trust in Him. Now, we might not like that when it happens, so we pretend that, we didn't really hear God. It wasn't from Him, right?
Yeah, we just say, well, that I don't know about that.
Yeah. Well, it was probably just another voice is something we might actually say to ourselves too.
Yeah.
It was the enemy, right? Trying to do something that doesn't line up with what God's word says.
Yeah.
So we continue to put our fingers in our ears until we believe the words are gone.
Yeah.
Now, the important thing is that God will never push us to do something.
That is so true.
Right. Now, he may warn us, but if we choose not to go, like Jonah, he's not going to stop us. We have free will. Now, Jonah, he could have stopped in the fish and just decided that he was going to die there.
That's right. That's his free will. That was his choice.
Right. Now, that's not what God wants, but he will allow it if that is where our heart is.
That's so true, because he's not going to force us to do something, that we don't want to do.
Right.
Even if it's for our benefit, if we don't see that and if we just want to do things our way, then, we miss out on some of that blessings from God.
So this isn't McDonald's, right? You can have it your way.
Well, often, if God asks us to do something, it is to benefit us.
Absolutely.
It makes it better for us. He's not going to make things worse for us.
Right.
He's going to make them better for us.
Absolutely, man.
Sometimes we may be like Jonah and just run in the opposite direction. We may really not like what God has to say, so we actually do the opposite of what he asks. And this really proves that our hearts are really far from him.
Yeah.
You can see where your heart is in these times. Many unbelievers who hear the gospel do this. So there may be reasons such as doubt of self-worth,
Yeah.
feelings of regret, or simply unbelief that there really is a creator who loves them.
Yeah. And we must truly look inward to see what's in our heart.
Yes.
We can reason or ignore or we can run. But when we listen and obey, we find that God truly does only have our best interest at heart.
Yes.
He wants to bless us above and beyond wherever we currently are.
That's so true. And just like we were saying, he wants to further us,
Yeah.
He wants to bless us. And so if he asks us to go through maybe a hard time, it's because we can learn something and come out on the other side just like immensely more blessed than what we could be if we just stayed where we were.
Right. Mentally, physically, spiritually.
Emotionally.
In every single aspect, right?
Financially. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I have to admit, I always looked down on Jonah. I was like, duh, how crazy can you be, like running away from God? But then God asked me, how many times have I done the same thing? It really stopped me in my tracks. I actually started crying, thinking about all the times I didn't listen to God. Even if I eventually came around, I had missed so many good things. It can be like overwhelming if you stop to think about it. And I just realized I don't want to be like Jonah.
Who does, right?
Right. I want to listen to God.
All right, so let's wrap up today's video, all right? So today's audio.
Today's audio.
I don't know where that came. Maybe I'm just so used to saying that.
Yes, yeah.
We're always doing videos. So if you take a look at your past, do you see yourself running from God or to him?
That's a good question.
Yeah. It can be scary to step out in faith and trust God with everything that you have. Now, the best part is that you will be blessed in the end. Now, the Ninevites, they were certainly blessed to accept God's gracious, unmerited favor. So when you have done what God asks, you need to be thankful. It may not be something that you want to do, but don't be like Jonah. Now, the end of the book doesn't say, but at that time, Jonah missed his blessing because he was still mad at God for saving all of those people.
That's right. He totally, the book doesn't say how it ends, but man, you can see from that. He totally missed the whole thing.
Absolutely.
Missed the whole point.
Yeah. And you may have certain people in your life that you don't want to see saved. It may seem unfair that they could have their sins forgiven while you did much less sinning.
Yes.
All right, now, hear me out, okay? God doesn't see us that way. In his eyes, sin is sin.
Yeah, that's hard to think about sometimes.
Yeah.
Because you see people that do things worse here on earth, but when God looks at us, he sees sin and sin. We
Right.
sinned, they sinned, all of that.
No sin is greater than another one.
That's right.
Say it's only a little
Not in
sin.
heaven.
Not to God's eyes, right?
That's right.
Now, know this. There will be a day of reckoning.
Yes.
But it should be much more satisfying to know that if that person can be saved, there is hope for everyone.
That's right.
So listen to God and follow what He says. And I guarantee you it will turn out for your benefit and His glory.
That's
Amen?
so true. When it benefits us, He gets all the glory for it because it came from Him.
Right.
So that's just so important.
We hope you guys got something out of this audio today. If you did, don't forget to leave a comment wherever you're listening to this at.
Yes.
If you want to reach out to us directly, you can email us at themessengersradio@gmail.com. You can also visit our website that has all of our past teachings, whether they're audio or video or radio dramas that Tricia's written that we've had friends come in and help us with.
Yeah.
There's also testimonies on there, my favorite thing. So our website, if you want to go there, is
www.themessengersradio.com.
bada bing, bada boom. You got it.
I got
Excelente.
It right.
You have anything else you want to say before we call this a episode done?
I just want to say that, like I was saying, I kind of look down on Jonah for doing that. But, so when we read about people in the Bible and we're kind of like, oh, gosh, I would never have done that. You need to think about the small steps that you might take that really do, lead to their big mistakes.
Right.
They started small at first.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Yep.
All right. So I hope you guys are having a great morning, a great afternoon, or a great evening, however you may be listening to us.
That's right. We love you guys so much.
Have a great day.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to this episode of The Messengers. You can always visit them on their website at www.themessengersradio.com.